I've had a bit of time to play around with the keyboard covered accessory for the RedMagic Nova. It's a pretty interesting accessory. While it might look quite generic at a glance, the details make it stand out a bit, including some weird aspects of it. In terms of the big picture, it resembles your average tablet keyboard. It comes in two parts, a back cover for the tablet with a kickstand, in this case attached magnetically to the back like the smart cover. It's a bit thicker and has a sizable kickstand on the bottom side that's adjustable and solid. It can double as a stand for using the touchscreen extensively, which is something I've been relying on to improve my mobile game streaming setup. Just keep in mind that since it sticks to the back of the tablet, it will get a bit hotter because it doesn't have that much surface area to dissipate the heat for the metal back. The other part is the keyboard itself. While it attaches with magnets and connects with pogo pins as usual, don't expect it to use a wired connection. As bizarre as that is, it actually uses Bluetooth to connect to the tablet and relies on that to provide any functionality. Just don't expect to use it attached since it doesn't have any sort of battery. This also means that in certain scenarios you will have to press a key on it to wake it up, before which the touchpad will not work. The keyboard can wake the tablet, not that you necessarily need that since it doubles as a smart cover. It can be set up to wake the tablet up and put it to sleep when closing it. Attaching the keyboard is easy, and the magnets make it extremely easy to line it, and it stays on firmly to the point where it can support the weight of the tablet of these magnets. Not that I recommend holding it like that, but it can fall off if you try to shake it around or let it flop. Detaching it is easy too if you try to get it off at an angle. Unfortunately, there's just enough slack for the magnets to misalign to the point where the tablet will wake up by just sliding the keyboard around while closed. I think this sort of issue is unavoidable with this sort of bottom attached pogo pin tablet keyboard. The design of the keyboard itself is consistent with the top half and the smart cover. It features the same sort of fake lever that feels nice to touch. The bottom side is devoid of any branding. The keys are recessed inside the keyboard and I haven't had any issues with them hitting the screen. When fully assembled and folded up, the tablet with the cover is considerably thicker, but not to the point where I'd complain about it. My bigger gripe with it is that the keyboard doesn't stay firmly in place when folded up, and while the magnets hold it closed, it is not secure and slides around too. This should not be an issue when it comes to putting the entire package into a purse or a backpack. The touchpad is really nice, the surface is really smooth and fingers glide on it effortlessly. It is big enough to the point where I rely on a shortcut to disable it when I type extensively. It's a fan space, which is easy to hit to toggle the touchpad off when it gets in my way. Your mileage might vary when it comes to doing things with it accidentally while typing. It features rudimentary palm rejection, which seems to kick in when a key is being pressed. This means you can't really use the touchpad for mouse and keyboard gaming, not that you want to considering how tiny the entire keyboard is. It can also click when pressing as any average clickpad would, so the bottom half is easier to click in. Tapping it works too, so you have options when it comes to how to use it. It features gestures, including 3-finger swipes you might be accustomed to for taking screenshots and splitting the screen for multitasking. 2-finger swipes can be used to scroll or to swipe on things, including swiping from the sides of the screen. It can be even used to perform gestures to tilt and rotate the map in Google Maps and Google Earth. My only gripe with it is the low pointing touch rate of the touchpad, which makes the movement not look smooth when I use the tablet with the refresh rate set to 144 Hz, which I do as much as possible. If you start a scroll with 2 fingers, the issue doesn't manifest itself. Now onto the keyboard itself. The layout is pretty good, with the keys you use to actually type being full size. The top row with number keys is shrunk down to make the keys fit and to keep the height of the keyboard in check to accommodate for the touchpad. This means that touch typing on this keyboard is easily doable and I haven't struggled with getting used to it. I don't feel like I struggle with typing on it much despite the absolutely tiny size, and I'm not sacrificing the number of fingers I use either. The enter key is where you'd expect it if you're used to ANSI layouts. Tilde key works as an escape or Android back key by default, but often turns it into the tilde key you'd expect there, which is a good compromise. While the apostrophe key is smaller, I don't struggle to hit it consistently since it's just left on the edge of the enter key. The biggest weirdness is that the pipe and backslash key is left on square brackets. I haven't had to deal with it yet, but I don't get why it isn't on the right edge of the keyboard for the sake of consistency. When it comes to key rollover, it seems like this keyboard is effectively 2KRO. Clusters of 4 letters are affected like in low-end rubber dome keyboards, but if you press the right key combos, you can get up to 6 keys at once without many issues. I don't think it's reasonable to expect anything more. Key combinations for adjusting brightness, media controls, and volumes are put on keycaps, with the only exception being the shortcut to toggle the touchpad. While the design of the keycaps uses a gamer font, I don't mind it that much. The keys feel quite nice, they have a tactile snap to them, but it's not overwhelming, and there's noticeable travel. I definitely prefer this sort of feel over a modern MacBook keyboard. The edges of the keys are easy to feel with your fingers, and the F and J key guides can be felt too if you rely on them to position your hands. There is some dedicated software integration from RedMagic in the settings menu, as well as some pop-ups related to toggling the touchpad and a warning when you try to disable Bluetooth when the keyboard is attached. The keyboard can have its firmware upgraded, but I haven't had to do so at all and I haven't run into any issues. There is also a way to change how the modifier keys operate, so I had no trouble making the caps lock key into a control key, which I rely on to avoid getting Emacs pinky. The only problem I'm having at the moment is not being able to get rid of the control space shortcut to toggle Android keyboards, which gets in the way, aside from other Android annoyances. The touchpad sensitivity is controlled by the same adjustment as global mouse sensitivity, although it features its own acceleration, which I'd consider a must with a pointing device of this kind. I think the biggest issue anyone could have with this accessory is the asking price. It's pricey, but on the other hand, it's also the only option that integrates with the tablet seamlessly and is really well designed and made. It almost feels like the prices of accessories are meant to get back some of the savings you get of the device itself, but I don't mind myself. If the price isn't right for you, there's no real vendor lock-in, and you could try going for a smart cover and a separate keyboard, whether you want to use it wired or wireless. The Type-C ecosystem is nice, meaning that a Type-C to Type-C cable can be used to hook up any recent mechanical keyboard if it doesn't have Bluetooth, but you won't be able to fold up your tablet and put it in a bag. I highly recommend this keyboard to anyone who wants a physical keyboard to attach to their Nova, whether to be able to type on it, have a laptop-like experience, or just to be able to have a nicer experience with things like remoting to computers. Just remember that very few Android games let you play with a keyboard and a mouse unless you use the tools provided by RedMagic to add that functionality in yourself. Overall, I'm quite impressed with this keyboard, and I'm shocked that while it being this small, I don't really need to adjust to be able to quickly touch type on it. The key feel places it above most laptop keyboards, save for really old ThinkPads. It turns the tablet into a small laptop, and the entire setup can be torn down easily with the amazing magnetic attachment system, or put back together. The adjustable stand being separate adds more ways of using the tablet.